What's up, everybody, and welcome to the show. I got to start my recording here. Sorry. I wasn't sure if it was going to work. All right, we can do it now. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Connie G Show. My name is Conrad, and how are you, buddy? I am out in the shed. Yet again, I'm out here. It's grilling season. It's grilling season. That's what they say. Used to be summer was grilling season, but not anymore, dude. You can't grill in the summer in Oklahoma or in Kansas because if you're outside, you're going to, you could just throw a steak on the sidewalk, or if you're sanitary or you're worried about germs or something, just throw that steak on a grill, but just have that grill be outside because it's hot. The sun will provide the heat. Are you buying charcoal? Because you are wasting your money. Are you buying charcoal? Did you just go buy charcoal? It's free. It's called the sun. So, anyways, we finally got a day here in Oklahoma under 100 degrees. I don't even know what a freaking heat index is, dude, but it's been hot. So today was not, and out here in the shed is nice and cool. I just got home. I was at Random Dude Ranch with Shannon, and if you don't know Shannon, listen to the OK Taco Show, or even if you want to, you could listen to those guys from Wichita. All of those shows are part of Con Radio, including this one, the Connie G Show, so consider looking up Con Radio. It's on iTunes and everything else, but also it's got a Patreon. You can support it there. It's got a YouTube page where you can watch this show. So if you guys like watching your podcasts while you're driving or while your Tesla drives you around, you can watch this. Just go over to youtube.com and look for Con Radio, and you'll see my big dumb head in there somewhere. So anyways, I was at Shannon's house, and then I left because I didn't get home till kind of late last night, and I wanted to see my kids, but when I got here, I forgot that my wife was teaching a lesson to it's a friend of hers. It's a friend of hers. And that is hard sometimes. If you're married to somebody that's got a friend that's not a mutual friend, it's just a one-person friend, and it's just her friend, and it's not that she's nice enough, but she's also one of those people that sometimes it's like, I don't know if they're real. I don't know if they're overly nice. And sometimes that makes me feel uncomfortable to be around. And that's what this woman sometimes acts like. Like, asks a bunch of questions that I don't really think she cares about just to make conversation. And I would rather just be like two ships in the night or two ships in the afternoon, as this is being recorded in the afternoon. So instead of dealing with the awkwardness of false politeness, I decided to come out here and do another show. I still have to upload our show from today. Shannon and I did an episode primarily about voting on the OK Taco Show, but you guys can listen to that later. So I had a weird evening yesterday, and I don't know why this stuff always happens. It seems to happen to me, but it can happen to anybody. I remember when I was probably 18 or 19 years old, and I had come back home from school, and let's be honest, it's not like I was learning anything while I was at school, but I had come back home to see my family and to, probably try to get in touch with friends and tie one on maybe and have a hang out one night and probably try to get my girlfriend, or I might have even been broken up at the time. I'm not sure. but I'd come home from school. And we went to this kind of bar and grill. I'd worked with my dad that day, and we went to this bar and grill for a lunch. And while we were sitting there eating, there was a older couple that was in a booth next to us, and I remember the wife in that situation started choking. And I noticed it because it's kind of like when you have a bunch of siblings, and I got 6 younger siblings, and from the time I was 6 to the time I was 18, there was always a baby in the house. And so you sit there, and subconsciously your eardrums are programmed to listen for a choke, because my water-headed family would just walk around and put stuff in their mouth at all times. And so you'd have to be like, hey, take that out of your mouth, or maybe even reach your fingers in there and pull a damn Lego out, or a rock or something, and get it out of their mouth, because they're going to eat it, because they're just a baby and they don't know any better. That's why babies don't vote. And this woman was not a baby. She was an elderly woman. She was choking, and I heard it at first. Like the first one, I was like, uh-oh, and then it kept getting worse and worse, to eventually she's like, I can't get it out. And I kind of remember her going to the bathroom, which I thought was a mistake, and I felt bad, but I think that her husband actually got behind her and did the Heimlich that you're supposed to do, which is when you see somebody turning purple and choking, it doesn't look awkward for that maneuver. We've been taught to do it. We've been taught to do the Heimlich maneuver. But a couple days ago in the evening, we were going to have dinner, and it was late, and so I was going to miss dinner, and I was like, I'll just go get something. And I'd heard about this place that was, they used to have one in Wichita, but it's around here in Oklahoma, that it's like a cafeteria style, almost hospital style food, meaning it's a buffet, but it's not like Golden Corral. It's more like you walk along the world's largest sneeze guard, and there's a person behind about every 4 foot that is in control of their little station, their food station. So you might have a guy that's got 50 plates of little salads. You want a salad? No. Then he might also be the Jell-O man. You want a Jell-O? No, dude. And so you move on. You want a roast beef? And everybody's got this tiny little portion of their gypsy food wares. So you just get to pay one price, and you walk down this, dragging your tray, like prison style, dragging your tray, prison style, along the front of this sneeze guard as basically a prisoner. Behind it, it has cooked up something. You want an enchilada? No. You want a chicken finger? You want chicken finger? Sure. You want mashed potato and gravy? Sure. Brown gravy? Or cream gravy? Brown, Then you get your 3 little things. You want corn? Sure. So you've built this big tray filled with probably 30 little tiny bowls of different kinds of foods. You go back to your table, you can eat all those. You don't even have to eat them. You can throw them behind you. It doesn't matter. And if you want more of one of them, you can ask a ground attendant, buffet attendant, to run up there and grab you. Hey, man, can you get me another chicken leg, chicken finger? Can you get me another hush puppy? And they go get you a little plate of hush puppy and bring it back to you. Or you can walk up. You can go brave. If the line's not long, which that's hard to find, but if the line's not long, you can go back up there. That's not a big deal. Nobody gets mad at you or anything. You don't have to have a wristband or nothing. So I was sitting there and I was eating. I was on, I was pretty much done. I had eaten my first round, which round 1, usually your eyes are bigger than your stomach is. For most people. Now, some people, their stomach is always going to be bigger than their eyes. You know, some people are built different, as they say. I think I seen that on ESPN, dude. So, built different. But for me, my eyes were bigger than my stomach, and I was like, I'm pretty full, but something was good on there. The meatloaf was good, so you go back up, you get another meatloaf, and because you're up and you moved, you're like, well, I burnt the calories. I'll get a little bit of those strawberry-covered bananas. You know, why not? I'll treat myself. And so I was already past strawberry banana at this point, okay? And I was like, I might go up there and see if they got anything I missed, like especially like maybe a cookie or a Rice Krispie treat or something. It's hard to screw up a Rice Krispie treat, and it's kind of like one final thing to be like, you won today. You won the buffet if you finish all your food and you eat a Rice Krispie. So I got up and I was walking, and there's this old man that I'd been he was by himself, and his back, he was basically sideways to me in his booth. And so as I was walking by, I heard the sound. I heard the sound. And because I felt, in my memory, I know the sound. That's a choke. This guy's alone, though. He doesn't, like the person when I was 19, they had a spouse with them. But I still felt guilty. I always think about that time because I felt like I should have done something sooner. She didn't die, or I'm not sure if she died or not. But I don't think she died. If she died in that bathroom. And we left. We got the check, and we left. And I never checked up on her. But I always felt guilty that she could have died and I could have done something. And so as I walked by this guy, he choked, and instinctively I jumped into action. I was like, uh-oh, I've been here before, So I go over to the booth, I get around behind him, I drag him out of the booth, and I start, and I'm like, are you okay? Are you choking? And he didn't say anything, but he was kind of flailing around a little bit. I was like, oh my God, this guy can't breathe. So I started doing the Heimlich. I started saving this man's life. I started doing the right under his belly button, and he's like, I'm squeezing pretty good. I'm trying to get it out of there. And eventually struggling, and I'm like, this guy's going to die. I'm going to lose a man tonight. And I just came out here to get cafeteria-style buffet, peacefully, alone. And now, all of a sudden, I'm in like a Grey's Anatomy situation. I'm saving a life. There's time involved. There's old age involved. I'm not really trained to do this, but I want to save this man because otherwise he's going to fall down in his soup. He was sitting there eating a soup, a chowder. And so one more time, and finally he reaches back and he elbows me. Oh, get off of me. I was like, what? Are you okay? Are you okay? So what are you talking about? Dude, are you, you were choking. I was trying to help you. It's called the Heimlich maneuver. Are you all right? And he said, I wasn't choking. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I sneezed. I said, you what? He says, yeah, I sneezed. And I was like, no, you were choking. He said, no, I wasn't. I sneezed. And you, who are you? What are you doing? But this guy had one of those, like when he talked, it was down, like, it was like the inside of his nose has fallen down into his throat. So when this man would sneeze, it was from the throat, okay? It was deep, and it sounded like a choke. Like, that's a sneeze for this man. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. And I got to thinking, I felt embarrassed, because now the whole restaurant, I made a big scene. And most of the people are older, but still, everybody's kind of looking at me. Because if you think about basically what I just did is imagine if you sneeze and somebody comes up behind you and starts dry humping you from behind vigorously, squeezing you and pressing their hips into you. That's what I did to this old man. He doesn't have to imagine it. He just has to remember it because that happened to him. And you can put yourself in the situation, sneeze, and then imagine somebody instantly jumping behind you and pulling you out of your booth and starting to hump you, because that's exactly what happened to this old man. What the heck? You got to think, what the heck? So I felt bad, dude, and I apologized. I was like, I'm getting out of here, dude. I thought you were choking. I'm sorry. He's like, well, it's all right. But as I was leaving, I was like, you know what the grossest thing is, though? Because I seen it all happen. I thought he was choking. He's the one that is going to now sit there and eat booger soup, dude. Now because when he had his chowder and what I thought choked, all he did was blow boogers into that soup. He's going to sit there and eat a booger soup and then kind of this guy's having a bad evening. He went to eat alone, had a little bit of a pollen attack, blew boogers into a soup, and then had some guy, kind of squeeze him pretty good. And that's why when they say, like, perception is reality, dude, no. Reality is reality. How you perceive your own situation sometimes is different. I perceived that this guy was choking, and I was living in my own reality. So perception is your reality. It ain't reality, though. So I felt bad. But I kind of felt better, He embarrassed me by not, because he could have went along with it. He could have been like, oh, thank you, knowing that his sneezes sound like choking. But instead, he kind of embarrassed me. And so I think in a way, it's almost, I'm vindicated that he is eating a soup full of boogie soup. So, and it's hard, dude. It's hard to be embarrassed. Especially the older you get, you don't like it. Because you think that you're in control of your own little life, your own little world. And so a lot of times your mistakes as you get older, they're more embarrassing than they are anything else. I was thinking about this documentary that Shannon and I watched. It's one of the Netflix Untold series documentaries. And so there's been a few of those Untolds, and they're like the Malice at the Palace, and most of them are sports related. There was a female boxer one. There was a few different ones. And the one we watched was about Manti Te'o, the linebacker that come out of Hawaii that went and played at Notre Dame that had got catfished. And I remember the phenomena that was Manti Te'o, as does everyone if you were following college football during the 2010 to 2013 seasons. That dude was the face of college football, basically. Even before you found out about his girlfriend and his grandma dying within the same day. But the story that followed after is what's so interesting and insane. And then the untold part of it during this documentary is so crazy. And I think the biggest part about it is how embarrassed Te'o felt about the whole situation. Because, you're the man. You are it in probably the most prestigious university and the most prestigious sport, at least at the collegiate level, and you're representing the most historic university, and you're playing a position that is an alpha position. So everybody around you is agreeing with you and propping you up, and your ego is bigger than the universe. And so to think that you log on to Facebook about the same time that Garth Brooks logs on. You guys both started about 2012. You get on there, and when you log in, dude, there's chicks Or you think I'll go pursue this. I'll friend this girl. Here's a good-looking girl. Goes to Stanford or graduated from Stanford. Is also Polynesian and faith-based and all. You don't know. All you are is Manti Te'o. So you say, hey, what's up? I'm Manti. What's going on? That's common. And the fact that this person who was a boy started a fake profile and then for years continued a relationship with not only him but multiple men that she had met by using an identity she stole from just images off of a different person's social media. It is crazy. But at the time, you always thought that Manti was in on it. I do think that this documentary makes you kind of realize that it could be it's very easy to believe that it happened in the way that they laid it out in this documentary, where, you know, you're focused on a sport. This person lives in a different part of the country, and, you know, your relationship is based on, it's just a support system of somebody your own age. Sure, there's an attraction there because you both see each other's photos, but and then when you do talk to this, who you perceive as a woman, you know, she sounds like a woman. And the people, then another thing is, this person was so smart that they friended members of Manti's family, you know, people that he trusted. So then when Manti would reach out, do you know this? Is this girl real? You know, they're like, yeah, I've talked to her. Yeah, oh, her? Yeah. You get that from all your trust circles. How would you not know? I mean, what would you... You have no way of not knowing that this is a beautiful woman. And then, so there's all kinds of little tricks that this person did. And this person is now a transgender. This person is now living... I don't understand how this person isn't in jail, because I think that there's definitely a case to be made that this cost Te'o millions of dollars. You know, the media, because what happened is the sympathy that Manti got from the death of his girlfriend within the same day that as the death of his grandmother, that rocket shipped him to, you know, Tim Tebow status. That rocket shipped him. And it broke before the national championship game. So within the same season that this whole facade was happening, the news come out that this was all a hoax and the gig was up. And rather than jump in front of it, because Manti told the university on the 26th of December that this is what happened. This woman called me and said that she was still alive, and now I think now I know it's a hoax. Didn't know before. But they're like, don't say anything. And that was the mistake, dude. Had they all got out and said, I got catfished, this is a thing, this is what it is, being catfished, and this is how it happened. Instead, they sat on it, and by sitting on it, allowing this article to be released by Deadspin, and it basically ruined this dude's draft status. It ruined his confidence. It ruined a lot of things about this guy because, you know, you go from being a world beater to being basically a loser. And now what's so crazy is about the time, and watch the documentary yourself and see if you agree. But what is so excuse me, interesting about it is even back in 2013-14, when this all happened, when Manti's world got turned upside down, the biggest narrative that everybody was jumping on to make fun of him was that he made up this girlfriend because he's gay. Like, he spent his whole career in love with this fake girl, but he did that. He knew the person. He knew it was and maybe that's all still true, but it is weird that we would be like, oh, dude, you're gay. Like, thinking about that in 2022 context, who cares? And actually it makes, he's got an excuse either way. Like, yeah, I was afraid to come out, so I'm a linebacker at a Catholic university. I can't say that I'm gay. And two, it's not accepted then. And it wasn't. I mean, Katie Couric has him on. It's like, a lot of people want to know, are you gay? It's like, you can't just ask somebody that. Are you kidding me? Are you gay? Like, do you have genital wart? What are you doing, Katie? What's your deal? You got gonorrhea? Like, what are you asking? But at the time, that was just what people did. I mean, everyone talked about, Obama was up there running for election asking, is Manti Te'o gay? What's the matter, dude? What does it matter? But it mattered, millions of dollars worth, to Manti, yet the person who perpetrated this, they didn't say, he forgave that person, and it's over. And they get to move on with their life being, after pulling off an elaborate catfish scheme that cost somebody millions of dollars, but then also just, it's fine. I feel bad that I did that. I really regret that I had a choice to make and I went this way with it, and it really screwed up somebody's life. And I'm sad about it. But, it also screwed mine up a little bit because I have to feel sad about it. It's like, you did it, dude. You did it. So weird, dude. But that goes back to the same thing, dude. Perception is reality. You walk by an old man blowing boogers into his soup, but you thought he was choking, you might do the Heimlich on that old man. Because in your you perceived he's choking. And you start humping him in the middle of a cafeteria-style buffet. And that man's perception is, there is some maniac behind me, some crazy-haired maniac behind me, just squeezing the ever-living crap out of me. That's his reality and his perception. And all that's true, dude. So I catfished that old man, basically. Or he catfished me. He catfished me. I thought he was choking and he wasn't. That's a catfish. That's a real-life catfish. That's a choking catfish. So, I don't know. I got to go inside. My wife is silly. I got a really silly wife. I think most of us that are married, we have that. We can all relate to that. Sometimes our wives being silly. But when we got this tiny house, and I've told you before, we're not, we don't like to live outside our means. And right now our means are about as little as you can get. And so luckily when we bought this house, it's about 800 square foot. And there's 4 of us in one shower. And it's kind of in a row of similar homes. I think our neighbor here to the south of us, they are, a lot of people refer to those people as squatters. They're squatting. They're not paying rent or mortgage. But their house is pretty nice. And then to the north, I got a renter, and then the other homes on this little strip of poverty are being renovated for other poors to move in. It's kind of where we're at right now. And I got this nice shed in the backyard that I get to do the show in. And the backyard, it's not real big. It's probably 1/13 of an acre if you combine front and backyard. And then put the house in there. So it's not a lot to take care of, but it has its problems. And one of them is storage. One of them is creativity when it comes to space. And so if you're married, you understand this, because what happens is HGTV, Home and Garden Television, over the past 15 to 20 years has made it seem as if interior design is mastered primarily by Southern women. Like, if you want the best interior designer, look at Nebraska and then squint your eyes and look down, because everything beneath Nebraska, all the women in that area will be able to design you something interiorly. And they'll be able to do it if you watch the TV shows. A lot of times these women will, you'll see a blank wall and they'll be like, well, I'm going to stage this and I'm going to do this, and they'll put a bunch of broken boards that say live, laugh, love, or butt first coffee or whatever. They'll put that crap all over the wall in these shows, and they'll move on to the kitchen and they'll paint the countertops and they'll put a towel rack up and the lighting fixture and a nice cute table or something, or a little breakfast nook, and like, look how much space we saved right here, and they all want to open it up. So maybe they'll even open it up. Hey, get in here, open it up, and they'll do it though. But the reality is, when you're married to somebody who has a vision of how their tiny little house will look, they'll tell you their vision, and that's the end of it. There's no part where, okay, well, so what I mean is, my wife will have an idea for the way a wall should look, whether it be an arrangement of photos, or maybe she wants a mirror and a little table to go under it, and a little rack or a shelf or something. Who knows? Depending on the wall. It changes wall to wall. And she'll have that in her head. And she has the unique, and maybe not so unique, I think this is actually not so unique. She has the ability to know how she wants something to look, but then not do anything about it. So if she wants to hang these 6 photos on the wall and have a shelf, she will pile up those 6 photos, set them next to the wall she wants them at, and that will stay there for the entirety of her tenure at that location, until she finds some sucker like me or her dad or somebody else to actually do the stuff for her, So, and oftentimes what happens in a marriage is, once the time has elapsed and I get tired of looking at the stack of photos and I say, babe, what are you doing with these? What are you thinking? She's like, oh, I've just been waiting for you to put them up. I know exactly where I want them. It's like, I mean, I've seen HGTV. You can hang these. I don't feel comfortable doing that. It's like, it's always crazy to me. It's like, do you think that men just wake up feeling comfortable with the stuff that they do? I've never, until I got married, I'd never done all the things that I did. But because I would rather screw up the wall and then learn how to fix it and not have a stack of photos sitting here for 3 years. So I'll learn how to do it, or I'll learn how to hang this shelf, or I'll learn, and some of it's simple. Some of it's as simple as putting up a command strip and sticking a photo to it. They've made it about as easy as you can get on hanging certain things, but some of it is kind of a little bit more, especially in an older house like this, because we have drywall, and then there's about a 3/4 inch gap before you get to plaster and lathe, because it's such an old house. And so a lot of times the anchors, you gotta get the right anchor, and a lot of times I've only found a couple that the gap is not large enough for a lot of the anchors that they recommend, the gap in between the drywall and the plaster. And so even if you drill into the lathe and the plaster as you're drilling a pilot hole for your anchor, sometimes the anchor will get too far into there where it won't allow it to do its job and to create a structure behind the drywall, So it is I kind of understand, like, you're getting into some thinking a little bit. But what happens when you're married is if you get into that thinking zone, you say, okay, I'm going to hang this, they call it floating shelf. I'm going to hang this floating shelf for my wife. And I got these anchors yesterday, and I think they'll work. And if they don't work, I know that these other ones will work. That kind of deal. And so I got all this stuff, and I was going to put this shelf up this morning because as cluttered as I am, I hate being cluttered. And a lot of that is, I do it to myself. I got stuff all over. I got notes and different things all over. But once I have a place to put stuff, I like it to be in the place it's supposed to go. But when I don't have a place for it, it just gets scattered, So I like to have a place. But if I don't, and I don't have time to make the place, then it's all bets are off. But what happens is you hang, like in our little house here, I took a different approach when we bought this home because I lived with my wife now in 2 different locations, and I know how she operates. And so I made it very clear when we got it, and the walls were finally the color that she wanted, and the trim was painted, and the ceilings were painted, and everything's okay. We're hanging today. We're going to go hang. So, put on your Joanna and Chip Gaines hat. I'm going to grab all the stuff we got, and you tell me where to put it, and I'm putting it all up because you only get a couple days. That's what people don't understand. The moment you get past 2 days of something sitting, it will sit forever. It will sit till you move. It does not matter. If you could have a picture of your papa. You could have a picture of your great-grandma. You could have a painting that was given to you by Da Vinci himself. You set that in a corner and say, I'm going to hang that next week. You won't. You will not do it. The only time you will do it is when you decide to put your house on the market. And you'll get to enjoy that, for the 3 or 4 days that it stays on the market. You'll get to be like, show the house and think, man, it would have been nice in the 7 years I lived here to be able to look at that painting when I walked in. Instead, it was stuck behind the couch because I was too lazy to hang it. And you got to hang it the first couple days. If you wait, it will never get hung. And I had a feeling that this shelf, because now we've been here, 8 months or so, everything else got put up. The shelf wasn't done. And now you got a pile of stuff happening under the TV, and everybody's like, you just accept it. Nobody's going to come over. Nobody's going to judge. Nobody's going to visit. It's like, I got to get this cleaned up. But, so I'm in there. I'm figuring it out. I got the holes drilled in my board that I was using as the shelf. And so I'm just trying to line up the shelf rather than have it be in the middle of the wall. That's a mistake too. The TV is supposedly in the middle. I hung it too, but now the TV is in the middle as far as that's where it goes. Now the shelf can't be, it's got to be in the middle of the TV, and it's got a little overhang on either side of the TV. So you got to make it perfect. And so that's the biggest thing. The level of it, because I figure if I can get one post put in, if I can line up the middle, mark where my holes have to go for this one side, I can get this one side. Now I know that it will be in the middle. Then I can level out this side, mark my holes, do this side, slide it on, boom. Got a floating shelf, baby. So I'm in there trying to hold it up and find the middle, and I'm using we have a Sharp television, not to brag. The brand is Sharp, and I'm thinking that the A in Sharp is right in the middle of the TV. You know what I mean? Because SHARP. Well, clearly the S and the H, the R and the P. The A must be the middle. Go off the middle of the A. So I make a dot off the middle of the A about 6 inches down. I'm trying to line it up. My wife, can I give you a suggestion? It's like, if your suggestion is, had I not been in here doing this, this would never happen. So if your suggestion is, when you get done hanging that shelf, I'm going to remind you of why we performed our nuptials, then yeah, you can suggest those things. But if your suggestion is anything to do with this shelf hanging, no. It's like, I think we should move it. It's like, when you say we, who are you talking to? That kind of thing. So I kind of got on her a little bit about that, giving her crap. But we got to put it where it was supposed to go. But what will happen is, you're married, you put this stuff up, and then eventually they're going to be so excited they got a new shelf, a floating shelf, or they're going to be so excited that you built them a new, I built her like a table to set the microwave and her cookbooks, and I cut a table in half and then mounted the bottom half to the wall and put the top half of the table above it, that kind of thing. Real DIY Bob Vila kind of stuff, guys. But what's going to happen, they'll take a picture of that, send it out and say, me and my husband just did this. We just did this. And you're going to have to get over yourself a little bit. You can't read that stuff and be like, we didn't just redo the bathroom. We didn't just hang a shelf. We're about a bunch of Frenchmen over here saying we, baby. He. That's who did it, girl. But you're a team, dude. You're a team, just like Manti Te'o, dude. Him and Notre Dame was a team. Him and Lene was a team, dude. That was his girl. And she broke his heart and ruined a lot in his life. And that, just like that old man sneezing, man. So, anyways, shelf's up. I'm sure you'll see a picture of it very soon from my wife's Instagram, and she will be saying that we just hung this floating shelf. And I couldn't have done it without her. So make sure you throw that a like. While you're liking stuff, make sure you like our YouTube page at Con Radio, and also you're welcome to subscribe to the show. The Connie G Show should be available pretty soon here on iTunes and Spotify, all those different places. So I guess the plan moving forward, it doesn't really affect all you people that have been listening for a long time, because you listen to Con Radio. Con Radio will have everything. But I'm going to start releasing each of their auxiliary shows on their own feed in addition, just to kind of bring people in, because maybe people want, it's just I'm catfishing, dude. I'm just putting out, I think they call that, it's not trolling, trout lining. I'm setting up a bunch of lines. I'm putting a bunch of hooks in the internet, letting all the listeners swim by, and if I have enough hooks, maybe I'll hook one of them and draw them back into my net, which is Con Radio. So, but that's just on the iTunes, Spotify stuff. Everything will have its own channel, but also be fed on the Con Radio stuff. On the YouTube side, everything goes through Con Radio. On the Patreon side, everything goes through Con Radio. So, if you guys want to support the Patreon, you can do that also. It's patreon.com/conradio. So, that's the business side of it, I guess. The only other thing I had, dude, speaking of relationships, I have not been watching the Today Show. I've not watched the Today Show since they got rid of Matt Lauer. And not because I agree with him in any way. That would be wrong of me. but I feel like the show is not as good without him. And I know that that's hard for some people, victims, to hear, and I get it, dude, but as a host of that show, I enjoyed his style, and I do not enjoy it anymore. And I don't even know who's doing it. I don't know if Willie Geist is still there. I know Savannah Guthrie's still there. And apparently people were thinking that her and Hoda Codpiece were beefing. They thought that Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Codpiece were beefing out. But I'm here to tell you that that's not true. They heard the rumors, and that's not true. I read a whole story today about their relationship. And if you got about 5 minutes, I'm sure you can find it and read it. And then report back to me if you think that these women are in their mid-40s, because they are. And some of the things they talked about to prove that they liked each other was, oftentimes it's a high-pressure job, but they both have children. Well, Hoda is a co-parent. I don't know what that means, but it's what they said in the article. She's a co-parent, and, they got to get up early. They got to get into their offices, down there in New York City. And so they fight the traffic. Maybe there is no traffic at that time. I don't know. I've never been to New York. But I imagine they got to wake up pretty damn early to get there, get their makeup on, and get out there and do the news and read a teleprompter and do it in a pleasant way that makes people want to watch. So that's a high-pressure job. And so there'd be times when Savannah would come in the office, she'd be down, she'd be kind of upset because she didn't have a good night the night before, because she's raising 2 kids or 3 kids. She's got a husband there. That's not another mom. She's still got to be the mom. And so she tells her husband, it's time for these kids to go to bed. So apparently that Savannah and Hoda Codpiece, they'll sit there and they'll talk to each other about it. They'll support each other. It's okay that you sent your kid to bed crying. That happens. I'm a co-parent. I do it too. Sometimes I have to send my kids to bed crying. What? But they relate to each other on that. And then what really got me about the story was when Hoda posted a picture of her and Savannah, she said, they captioned the picture with, "Love you mostest." I love you the mostest. Savannah had said that to Hoda. So, hey, Hollywood Reporter, there ain't no beef going on here. This 45-year-old woman just commented on an Instagram photo, "I love you mostest." An adult said that to another adult. And you're going to tell me that there is some sort of friction in between these women? I love you mostest. You 50-year-old woman. I love you mostest. What the f*** are you talking about, dude? That was written. That was a story that was written today. People read it, and people commented on it. They showed the comments. People were like, "I'm glad you guys are still together. I'm glad you're friends. It makes me so happy to hear this. You go, girl. Yeah, being a mom is hard." Guys, shut up. Manti Te'o's gay. Maybe. You asked that question, Savannah. You asked that. I didn't ask that. Well, that was a long time ago. It was a different time. I would never ask that. You did it. And now you're 50 years old, and you're saying "I love you mostest" to another grown woman? A mother? That's what children say to each other. That's what babies say. Are you a baby? It's so weird, man. The more I study the world, the more I realize it's a strange place, dude. And using your memory, your upbringing, or whatever doesn't work anymore. You can't be like, "Hey, weren't you the guy that said that when you were 50? They don't remember. It's all right now. You know, it's all right now. And it's okay that before, if you were raising 2 kids, you didn't look for support from another person who's raising 2 kids, because guess what? What that person says about how it doesn't matter. You got to raise the kids. So if you come in having a bad day because your kids are being little turds and they wouldn't go to bed, guess what? Boo-hoo. We all got to deal with our stuff. That's not how it goes anymore. Now you can be mad that you said something about it and somebody didn't say they loved you mostest. I got your back. Mama. Go get it, mama. Meanwhile, these women can't even hang a damn shelf. They can. And a lot of you ladies out there, 1, thank you for listening. And 2, I know you guys can hang shelves. That's why it's so insidious. It's so damn insidious that you'd leave a stack of junk, and until you've hung it on a wall, it's junk. You leave a stack of junk waiting for your husband to hang it when you know dang well you can do it. But that's where we're at, dude. That's the life we live. So, anyways, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Tell that old man if you see him at that buffet, I'm sorry about what I did to him. And this is the Connie G Show. You can subscribe on iTunes and Spotify. If you like what you hear here, if you like what you heard, you can always hear more. All the different projects we are involved in, whether it be the OK Taco Show or those guys from Wichita, those are all available on Con Radio. So look for Con Radio in all of your streaming platforms for podcasts. Look for it on YouTube, and look for Con Radio on Patreon. And with that being said, don't let your meat loaf. I see you.